Hello, namaste everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one of the requested videos by you people, which was about Gandanta planets and Gandanta ascendant. So today, I think I have not made any video on Gandanta or Gandanta planets ever. So let's just talk deeply about how the Gandanta plays out, how the results will be when a planet is in Gandanta or altogether your ascendant is in Gandanta. Okay, but before that, if you guys are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys would like to have your personal readings from me, you can check out the link in the description box, www.anmollastrology.com. Under the readings and unique reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. And also under the courses section, you can sign up for the online courses. Okay, so let's get to the video for Gantanta. So Gantanta is basically a Sanskrit word. It's formed as Gand Tanta. Gand means knot. It's like a karmic knot. Anta means end. So Gantanta basically is like a rope, but which is having knot at a certain point. Now, this knot means that there is some obstacle, there is some, up and down. If you are, suppose you're going on a road and there's a speed breaker, your speed would get slow. You'll have to bounce on that speed breaker and then you will push up, your speed again, because that would, go to a certain level. That would decrease to a certain level and then you'll have to push it again. So speed breakers are basically there to break your speed and for you to restart with your speed again. That's the similar thing with Gantanta planets. That's a very similar thing with that. So Gantanta planets or the Gantanta points are referred to the karmic knots which trigger transformations, which triggers something coming to an end for something else or something new to start, for new beginnings to start by ending old patterns. That's the simplest meaning of Gantanta planets. Now, if we see by the degrees, so it's a tenure, it's a range of 3 degrees in 20 minutes. Most prominently, like the wide range is actually if a planet is 3 degree 20 minutes towards the very end of a water sign, as in Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and is entering or is at 3 degrees 20 minutes in the very beginning of a fire sign. So basically, Gantanta is about when you go from the water to the fire. And in case of Rahu Ketu, it's reversed. They go from the fire to the water. So you are changing the element. We will talk about the element change once we get to that point. But before that, understand that, going from, let me see, I've written the degrees. Yeah, going from 26 degrees, 40 minutes to 30 degrees of the water zodiac signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. That is the Gantanta frame. But from 29 to 30 degrees is when the most intense effects are to be seen. Whereas on the fire side, the range is 0 degrees to 30 degrees and 20 minutes of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Okay. And the most significant degree is from the 0 degree to 1 degree of Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius. And you will see that the nakshatras that actually hold this Gantanta is all the nakshatras of Mercury and Ketu. And that is the reason why people born in Mercury or Ketu nakshatras are known as Gandmul. They are known to be Gandmul children because they're bound to go through something transformative. They're bound to go through something very, very, evolving. So the nakshatras like from Revati, Ashwini, Ashlesha, Magha, Jyeshtha, Mula. These are the nakshatras involved. Now let's just talk about, the elements. Why it is the Gandanta point. Now I'll tell you something which is like quite, I think it is quite understandable, which is that when you, you know, every one of you would have been in a pool, right? On a sunny day, you might have been in water, you might have been in the pool. You see how you get out of that pool in a very hot, sunny day. As long as you are in the pool under the water, you feel as if your sun is, fine. Sorry, your skin is fine. It is being hydrated, it is covered with water, and you're feeling the, in that hot sunny day, you're feeling that soothness from that water. And then if you get out of it and you set your foot on the ground which is heated, which is burning out, how would you feel? Most probably your feet are going to feel like burned out. You will want to run and see a place where there is shadow, right? So that is one of the experience you are going to feel in Gandanta. You feel the burnouts. You feel burnt into that energy. If it is water, you feel burnt with the energy of water because you're moving towards the fire. If you are into the fire, you have just gotten out of the water and you're just rushing into things. You're just getting on with that. I need to get to a space of shadow. I need to get to a space where I'm no longer feeling that heat on my foot or on my body, over my body. So that's the simplest way you could understand, by elements work beautifully. I feel, and this is something I also teach in my, astrology courses, that once you understand the element, that's about it. You are going to be able to predict at least 90% of things just using elements. That is how important they are. That is how strong they are. So also, you see, whenever there's a candle or anything that is basically burning, you put water into it, want water onto it. There's a kind of smoke that comes out as soon as the water touches that fire. That is the smoke which it brings, which this Gandanta point brings. So as a practical, as a practical implication, it is going to make you feel burnt out. It is going to make you feel that pressure. It is going to create an obstacle. These points are basically spiritually activated. They are karmically activated, and you're bound to you burn yourself out so as to go through this transformation, so as to evolve through this. Okay, so now we are going to talk about planets and the ascendant. So the two case scenarios which happen with Gandanta is either that your ascendant is going to be on a Gandanta point, or your planets are going to be on the Gandanta point. So if you have your ascendant at the Gandanta point, right? So that means that overall whole of your life is going to be affected. Overall, everything in the surroundings, it's more circumstantial. It's not based or focused on one particular planet. It's rather a whole energy, a whole shift into your, like, it's like a 360-degree shift into your life. It's a 360-degree shift into everything that you do. And when it is about planet, then it becomes specific shift. Like in case of moon, it's specifically about the emotions, about the happiness, about your comforts. If it is about sun, it's specifically about your personality, about your respect, about your ego, about your presentation, right? So that is the difference between ascendant and the planets. So now we are going to talk about how each and every planet is going to feel in each and every Gandanta zone. Okay. So first of all, you would see that every planet which is in the Gandanta of the fire side, like if it's at the very initial degree or very first pada of the fire signs, as in Ashwini, Magha, or Mula, that planet is going to go into the sign of Aries, in the Navamsha of Aries. Every planet in the first pada of the fire nakshatras or the fire zodiac signs, the very first nakshatra, that basically goes into the Aries Navamsha. Whereas when we consider the water zodiac signs, the very last pada of the water zodiac sign, water zodiac nakshatras, the last nakshatra, which is Ashlesha, Jyeshtha, and Revati. The very last pada is going to land in the Pisces Navamsha. So when you want to learn about Gandanta planets, just know that these two zodiac signs become extremely important for you. So whenever a planet is at the earliest degrees of a fire sign, it is looking for its identity. It's looking for its actions. So most of their karma, most of their karmic obstacles, their karmic baggage, their karmic knots are to be considered with their personality, their actions, their initiation. Every change, every possible change has to happen within their personality, within their thinking pattern, within the way they act. Whereas every planet, when they are in the last degrees of water zodiac signs, that has to deal with psychological issues. So every planet in the Cancer side towards the very last degrees has to deal with some patterns, emotional traumas, turmoils, emotional evolvement, or the situations are going to be triggered because of deep rooted issues or some emotional changes, some changes which are more psychological in nature. Okay, so that's a typical understanding, or that's a overview understanding of these elements. Now let's go specifically with the planets. Now let's talk about the planets or the ascendant going in the fire Gandanta, as in from 0 degrees to the to 3 degrees 20 minutes of fire signs, the sign Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So first, let me tell you that Moon and Venus are the planets who feel most frustrated in this Gandanta. We know the Gandanta is all about karmic knots, right? So let's first discuss about the Sun. When Sun comes into this Gandanta zone, it's like you want to initiate, you want to transform your personality, because Sun is all about confidence, it is all about personality. So whenever any planet comes into Gandanta, they are there, they feel the urge to do something. They feel the frustration that if they are not productive, they are not doing something, then they are just being undervalued. So when sun comes into the very first degrees of the sign of, let's suppose, Cancer, sorry, very first degrees of Aries. This means that it has basically come forward or come out of the water energy of Pisces. It has come out of the energy of being in its own thoughts, being in its own dreamy land, being in its own expectations. Now it is coming out and gaining its confidence. It is coming out and gaining its own pedestal to rule, because sun is all about your confidence, your ego. So a person is in a rush to achieve, in a rush to deal with things, because it's like you've just come out. What did I tell you guys? That you come out of a pool and you know, set your foot on the ground which is heated completely, and you're just running with, you know, the tiny steps or maybe long steps, but you just want to get out of that situation and want to go in the shadow zone. So sun here can make you feel that you have to transform your confidence over a period of time. You have to get better with your confidence, get better with your ego. If suppose in, and it comes in because of, you know, because of too much energy which was first set up in a boundary, and now it has been like, it was first like this and then it was suddenly given out, right? Now next, if we have sun in the sign of Leo, that means it is coming out of that emotional turmoil, emotional situation, right? It came out of that deception, it came out of that emotional manipulation, and now it is gaining its confidence. It has been in its own home, in its own living space where it feels comfortable. It's like you getting out of your comfort zone so as to identify your worth, identify your soul purpose, so as to transform into a confident and creative individual. You have been done researching at everything, and now it's time to come out and shine. That's what the Gandanta of sun does. But it definitely makes you deal with psychological patterns or problems within the lineage, problems within the with the ancestral belt, with the family things. So you gain your confidence through transformations, through evolvement, because now you are in the nakshatras of Ketu. It's all about evolving. It's all about changing 360-degree. It's all about transformations, detaching, you know, coming out or gaining confidence, gaining your own action because of detachments, because of, you know, dissatisfactions. Now, last would be for sun would be coming into the sign of Sagittarius from the energy of Jyeshtha. You had the most toxic feelings. You had the most controlling issues, most complicating and psychological fears. You come out of it and understand the root cause, the root problems, and deal with it in when it is about your personality and your soul purpose. You come out as a redefined person, redefined individual, with this sun being in Moola. You learn through the process, you learn through your lessons, you learn through your journey. This can be highly transformative. A person who basically comes out of his own fearful and secretive personality and comes out, outshines. But definitely the karmic knot has to be to you deal with your own personality problems. So it's a warfare between psychological dealings and coming out of it. So something like that would happen, which basically transforms you. It shatters your ego at some point. It definitely shatters it. It doesn't let you have the control of your life to some extent, to some point, at some point, whenever the activation happens. And then it makes you into a person who is just optimistic, who just gets to that level, which is all about learning, all about understanding the wisdom of life. Now with moon. So with moon, if suppose your moon is in the first 3 degrees of, or the first pada of Ashwini, right? This moon is basically coming out of the situation of Pisces, the oblivionness, the confusion of Pisces. Now it takes on the hold of its life, of its emotional self. It makes a person very independent emotionally. You go through transformations, you go through detachments emotionally, you lose someone in life, you go through loss of, emotions, detachment, abandonment issues, and then you find yourself, you find your personality, you find your energy, you find your confidence with your emotions, you find your dominance with your emotions. So the karma here is actually something, I think, which is very much required for an individual. Then now come to the Cancer side. Like, if you are in the early degrees of Leo in Magha Nakshatra, you have come out of the energy of deception. You have come out of the internal energy of spirituality. Now you are here to learn your emotional detachment through your family issues, love issues, personal relationship issues. Through deceptions, you find your confidence. It's like a moon which was underground, now comes out to shine, comes out to show its capabilities. Definitely people go through major transformations when it comes to moon and Magha. In the first degrees of Magha, they are actually on a journey of evolving, transforming from an emotional, from a dependent self to becoming independent, to become creative, to admire the knowledge. So you definitely have to break through the old patterns, the old situations, the old emotional conflicts, patterns of the family, of the lineage, and then get forward to excel, to be inbound in this energy, energetic action, lead something, be on that leadership roles. If suppose it is the sign of Scorpio, the sign of, if moon is in the early degrees of Sagittarius in nakshatra of Mula, you have come out of the toxic energy of your emotions. You have come out of your own fears, of your own controlling issues, of your own stubbornness. And now you're planning to expand your horizon with your mindset, with your feelings, emotions. You want to expand your emotional state. You want to expand your happiness. You want to distribute happiness and be happy by dealing with deep rooted stuff. This is like a psychologist who have been at the most downhill and or the most depressive stage at some point, and now is a psychologist because that person knows how to deal with that situation, how that situation transformed them and made them a better person. So now they initiate towards their dharma with their emotional understanding, with their emotions. Now they want to choose their happiness and look and lead their happiness on their own. That's why it goes into Aries Navamsha. They want to do what they want to do. Okay. So of course, there's going to be something in their life that is going to basically lead them towards this path. Now let's talk about Mars. So if Mars is in the Gandanta, like it's in the first degrees of Aries in Magha, that means it has come out of the frustrated, boundaried zone of Pisces, Revati. It has accumulated a lot of emotions. It has accumulated a lot of agendas or a lot of determined goals it had, but it could not complete. Now it is extremely determined. It is extremely determined to get where they want to go. Now they don't want anyone to basically tie them down or to keep them in a very emotional state. They rather want to get out of it. They rather want to just experience the nectar of action, initiation, independence. So these can be the individuals who might have felt a lot emotionally dependent, emotionally frustrated at some point in their life. And now they just want to get out of that zone. They want to do things, they want to be independent, they want to be adventurous in their own way. Of course, it's not all about adventuring, hiking up the trees. It's not all about that, but it's what their chart says, that what is their journey. They feel aggressive towards approaching their goals, because now they don't feel the boundaries. They don't feel that their mind is basically holding them into a boundary. Their mind is at the right space now. Now, next would be if Mars is in the first degrees of Leo, as in Mars is in Magha. So that means this Mars has come out of the energy of Ashlesha, deception with one's humanitarian nature, one's provision. They might have been deceived from, because of emotions, because of someone, maybe friend circle, boyfriend, maybe a friend. Now they are leading towards independence. They are leading towards breaking the generational patterns, because this is Magha. This is about your Pitris. Something has to be there regarding the Pitris. You want to grow. You want to explore. Later, you were caught down with your own expectations, with your own emotions. But now you're like, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to do my marzi. I'm going to do things by my choice. So this makes a person quite bossy and quite initiating. But at the same end, it is also a very, very lazy situation. It is a very lazy placement as well, because your energy basically is more into knowledge. It's more into something creative that you do with research. It's an energy transformation, but it's a very aggressive Mars, because this Mars has been into that zone where it wasn't able to use its energy. It was just dried out. Now it has its fire. It's like a superhero whose strength is fire is entering into a fire, a fire situation, and then all the fire comes in their hand, on their face, and everything like that. I don't remember such a superhero, but I do know there is someone like that. Okay, so that is a kind of situation this Mars makes. Now, if you go from a Scorpio to a Sagittarius, Scorpio is also all about going through intense transformations in life. With running out from Jeshta and coming into Mula, it's all about you learning about the deep rooted complications, deep rooted situations which give you courage. It's a very courageous combination. It's a gandanta one that you have to deal with that obstacle, you have to deal with that knot, but once you do, you gain courage. You gain courage through your own fears, through your own sudden events. Sudden personal event would happen into your life, which is going to just take your life 360 degrees. It is going to just take your life totally, that you'll be like, did this happen with me? And now I have to gain that, all of that courage. I have to guide other people because of the lesson I have learned because of my own things. Now I have to help others. I have to help others with my research, with my knowledge, with my understanding of deep rooted stuff. That's why these people make excellent researchers and excellent doctors, medical practitioners. So you find your discipline through your own fears, through your own suddenness, own expectations, own power struggles as well. You struggle with your power, you struggle with your career, and then you reach to a situation or an instance or a timeline where you evolve through it and you just passionately go towards it with all of your knowledge, with all of your preparation, like a person goes for a competitive exam. Now Jupiter makes you evolve and transform your spiritual energy into energy of dharma. So first of all, from Pisces to the first degrees of Aries in Ashwini, this is a Jupiter who is not into that spiritual space only. It is now there making people understand that this is what spirituality is and this is how you have to implement it. So it's like an astrologer, like what I'm doing right now. I did get that spiritual study, and now I'm giving you guys that knowledge. That this is how you implement it. This is the knowledge, and this is how you implement it now. So that's the energy of Jupiter. Jupiter feels, although it's its own sign, it's a sign which can be boundaryless. Or, of course, it's the sign of duality. It's the sign of confusions. So after Jupiter has been through its own healing, has healed the past life traumas, has healed whatever was accumulated, now it is entering into the space where it is all about action. Jupiter, Sun, Mars actually feel good here. They actually do good here. And Moon and Venus would not do the best. And even I think in some cases, Rahu also doesn't. Rahu? No. It's Saturn who doesn't. More than even Rahu. Okay. So having Jupiter in Ashwini is like you evolve through your own actions, you evolve through isolation, through your own inner battles, inner thoughts, escapism, and now you're confident, you are there to take up your whole responsibility. You have to do that. You will get a lesson to actually go into that zone, go into and become that person. That's your journey. That your journey was with wisdom. And this is also an individual who's going to break down the old patterns of maybe learnings. These are the people who might even rebel their gurus because they feel that they have themselves gotten the lessons. They have themselves felt that, breathlessness in the water, deep into the water, and now they know how to deal with it. And they are their own gurus. They are their own wisdom givers. Next, if this is in a this is moving out of a shlesha and is in the first degrees of magha, you will get knowledge as a part of your lineage. You just need to identify that. You get your confidence as a part of your lineage. You just need to understand that. You get creativity and everything associated with Leo: the creative self, the artistic self, the creative abilities, the confidence, the charm, the shine. You get that through your lineage, you get that through your ancestors. But you're a person, like, whom I am actually remembering. I don't know if this person, this celebrity, have this placement or not, but I can recall Ranbir Kapoor. I don't know, for some reason, because I remember his story where he told that he was not co-producing, but he was assistant director or assistant something, assistant producer, or not assistant producer or director, some assistant in the movies of their own family members or someone. So he used to live in the shadow. He learned there, and then came out and shined as shown as a star, and now wants to direct his own movies, want to produce his own movies. And I think he already does. Not aware of that. Not much of a movie. I am a movie person and an occasional movie person, actually. But this is something I'm talking about with this Jupiter in Magha. They get their confidence by being in a very isolated zone, by being in a very compressed zone, or a zone where they feel I am everything, because that's an exalted Jupiter. They think they have all the wisdom, but then something happens and they got stuck there. It's like a stick they get on their head, and they're like, oh, I did not have the whole of the wisdom. I need to revive myself. I need to go out, learn, and then get my wisdom, and then become my own teacher. That's the evolve set they go through. Lastly, if it is going from Scorpio to Sagittarius, the early degrees of Mula, Sagittarius. It means from your own fears, on your own fear and pessimistic self, because Jupiter is optimistic. Pessimistic self, your own fears of understanding, your own fears of doing something not good for yourself. You go into that fiery dharmic zone, the Mool Trikon sign of Jupiter. You learn through your own fears, your own transformation. And you definitely have a very transformative relationship with gurus. For all these Jupiterians, with on the Gandanta side, very transformative journey with gurus, with elderly people. Right? So it's like you get your wisdom through ups and downs and transformations of your life. It could be financial, it could be something personal, psychological. You deal with psychological warfare, and then you get to a point where you are like, I need to evolve. I need to evolve into a person who is not going to sit there in that, restrictive and depressive zone, but rather take an action towards something. Take an action towards the rooted cause and heal that rooted cause to go forward and work towards your own dharma, your life purpose. The people with, with Gantanta on the fire side, their karma is all about working towards their life purpose, about their soul journey. Now, Venus. If Venus has been into the energy of Revati and is in the early degrees of Ashwini, you learn to heal others and heal yourself. But this when Venus goes into Gandanta on the side of fire, you very quickly get into relationships, very quickly get out of the relationships if there are certain planets not influencing this Venus. Or if there are certain this, or even if this Venus is sitting all by itself, if Sun is not well placed, this Venus can actually make you go into a relationship, out of a relationship, into a relationship, out of a relationship. Very quickly, very quick decisions you make into a relationship. Quickly you get into it. Quickly you break it off. Or it would make you extra cautious. And the extra cautiousness actually comes into this side, into this zone. This when Venus gets out of the energy of Pisces, because you dream about certain things, but you're also intuitively active, and you feel that you actually understand that relationships are not about the dreamy lands. It's more about action. It's more about acting upon it. So it takes you out of that dreamy land. It takes you out of that oblivion zone and impractical, illogical, dependent zone. And it makes you independent individual through relationships, through transformations you experience in relationships. Okay. Now, if this Venus is in the early degrees of Leo in Magha, you definitely have spiritual lessons with relationships because of deception, because of your emotional depth, because of emotional intensity. And you actually have some patterns, some toxic patterns within your ancestors or within your lineage when it is about relationships, where relationships have been something to just show confidence or to just show the status thing, but not actually there with a depth, with a strong foundation. So that is a reason that with Venus and Magha, and especially in the early degrees, people learn their massive lessons through their relationships, through breakups. There's at least one relationship which is going to teach you all of that, karma, and going to lead you towards spirituality. And a person tends to be quite deceptive within relationships also. Of course, there's a whole story we need to see with the whole birth chart, but it happens. You come out of that deceptive energy of Ashlesha. You come out of that, that feeling of having the power in your own hands, having the person all by yourself, just by a snake coils around an object or its prey. That's what you feel that you do initially, and then you detach yourself from that feeling that I don't need to be jealous, I don't need to be this, I rather need to seek a spiritual partner, I rather need to seek a partner with whom I do not have to, behave this or feel this toxicity. I rather want to have a partner which is more, there spiritually for me. So you feel connected with those relationship shenanigans and work towards the dharma, to work towards the spirituality, to work towards your action, creativity. Highly creative these people are, highly artistic. That's the detachment of Ketu. Now, lastly, it will be the nakshatra of Jyeshtha. Going from Jyeshtha to Mula, you learn your lessons throughout. You learn your lessons through your own fears of abandonment, of being left out alone, or something very transformative that you experience in your relationships or your marriage. But definitely with Venus and Mula, you definitely have a very, very intense relationship at some point with someone, but it either was not taken on a serious terms, or it didn't go towards marriage, or it just didn't work out. There was something where you felt left out, and now you keep on reminiscing about it. You keep on thinking about the previous relationship, but your karma is to basically heal your deep rooted stuff with relationships, to heal yourself with the higher divine knowledge, and to be free when it comes to relationship, to find your own identity, own learning, to frame your own belief system through relationships. That's your karma, that's your transformation. It will, at certain point, it will not be about the control, it will not be about the toxicity, rather it will be about something spiritual, something deep rooted. It's either a deep rooted relationship, or you'll have to heal your deep rooted stuff. Now next we have Mars. We are done with, just a second, we are done with Mars. Yeah, we are done with Mars, I think so. I have to check the video all over again. I think we started with Sun, then Moon, then Mars, Jupiter, Venus. Yeah, it's Mercury now. So Mercury. Mercury coming into the nakshatras of Ketu is a person who is going to know the cultural differences in their life, who is going to play with their intellect at a very technical level. Their intellect transforms, their beliefs transforms, their understanding transforms. That when does that happen? When you shift from a place to another place at a very distance, you have to adapt another culture, you have to adapt another divinity, or any other structures. That's what Mercury does. Now Mercury is coming out of the energy of of water in Pisces, of debilitated energy. Now it is getting to Aries, where it feels directionally strong in Ashwini. So it has moved out of confusion, and it is actually having a bit of clarity with its thoughts, with its observance, with its decisions. So it's like you have been in your own land, you have been overthinking stuff, and you have been, confined into a space and pulled yourself down, or circumstances pulled you down to some extent, and now you are at a space when you are breaking those barriers, when you are breaking those certain uh, the barriers that you had, and now the boundaries that you had, now you are exploring the activity side, the leadership side of it. It's like a person who has been always getting the torture, getting all those things said to them, and now this person is just have had enough, and is like, how can you say that to me? Now I'm going to retaliate. Now I'm going to work for my own growth, work for my own progress. Okay, so Mercury finds its, in a way, directional strength here, but definitely with people who have their Mercuries in the nakshatras of Ketu, things will be quite transformative for them. Very much transformation they go through. Then in case of going from Cancer, from Ashlesha energy to going into Magha energy in the sign of Leo, this means that you identify your personality, your creative skill after going through that, shutdown kind of a scenario, that deceptive scenario, dependency scenario. You now find your confidence, you now find your knowledge, you find your, you find yourself out of this energy of water. Now you are able to express yourself. Now you are able to work with your skills, to express with your skills. So it's a very good, with Mercury, it's a very good transformation. Like, it's transformation with something very growing, a growth. It's like a person who has been tied down all their life, but now is getting out of it, right? Now is finding their own truth. So that's why life definitely is quite transformative for them. But they find themselves out of it, find their personality, their thoughts, the individuality with it. Now, lastly, it's going from Jeshta, Mercury in Jeshta, to going from Mercury in Mola. Very knowledgeable person, a person who knows what is deep insight, and what is on the top of it, an excellent detective, an excellent observant person, deals with the fears, deals with fearful situations. And always with Mercury, people have communication issues as well. They deal with those communication issues because of maybe embarrassment that they might have had in their childhood. They evolve through their childhood traumas, and they come out confident. You see that person in where maybe you are very small, and you see that classmate of yours who did not speak at all, but then you see that person, when they grow up, they become a very confident individual, maybe a podcast person who is motivational speaker or something like this. That is what is the journey of this Mercury. Now with Saturn. Now Saturn is where your actions, not like specifically actions, but your karma, your career basically transforms. Definitely with Saturn on any of the Gandanta sides, it is going to transform your career. It is going to transform your karma. Now, suppose it is going from the boundaries or the lesson of practicality of Pisces, then it is going into Ashwini, the initial degrees, of Aries. It wants to act upon. It wants to come out of the boundaries, because Saturn is also one of the rebels. It wants to act upon now. It wants to do certain things which can give transformation within the structure of your life. It's a very big transformation. It's a complete transformation. And this is a very selfless energy also. This is dominating, but this is selfless at the same end. The Saturn basically evolves from the energy of Revati, which is about daydreaming, which is about escapism, and now about taking the responsibility. Now about helping people heal. You see those individuals who themselves are not doing well in their life, but they just pledge their whole of their life just to do something for the society, something for the others, to help them. Doctors who give their free consultations, or they give their free do free operations or something of that sort. That's where, when Saturn is in Ashwini, right? Of course, a lot of things matter there, but they give the selfless. They just have this karma. They understand this karma to give something selflessly. They have just entered the energy of Aries, and now they have to get into that zone, and they have to like act upon it, right? So if Saturn goes from Cancer, Ashlesha, and then is in the early degrees of Leo, Magha, this is a difficult energy to deal with. That's because you have carried forward some heavy karma from your lineage, from your there's something very competitive, deceptive, that works around within your family life, within your family lineage, that you have to deal with. There are some certain patterns which are very wrongful patterns, deceptive patterns. Now you'll have to deal with it. You'll have to deal with some snakes, certain snakes around you, and then you become a very bossy individual. You become like that. I'm not going to now bow down in front of anyone, because I've done that, because I've done being dependent on someone else. I've done being trusting someone, but now I am in my own pride. So that's the transformation this Saturn has. This is a difficult transformation. Definitely, it's a difficult one, going from Ashlesha to the Magha situation. You evolve. You actually go from a stable ground to a difficult zone where transformation is required, where now you have to go out and present yourself. It's like a housewife who has all her life does not know how to go out and work, but now is forced out to go out and work. work on her skills and present herself. Like there's a series called as Loop. I think it's Loop, yeah, on Apple TV Plus. Do see that. You will understand what is this Gantanta all about. There's a housewife who is basically a trophy wife, a rich husband's wife, did know anything about business at all, but then she gets her own share of alimony from that husband after she got cheated on from the husband, and now she has to deal with all those finances, and she just decides to give up on those finances into charity, and that's her journey. It's all about that in that particular series. You should watch that. It's a good one. Okay. So if Saturn moves from the energy of Scorpio to the energy of Mula in initial degrees of what? Sagittarius. I'm just tired, nothing else. So, um, initial degrees of Mola, it's like Saturn gets out of its power zone. Saturn gets out of its fears of losing its power, and then becomes or comes at a stage where he's like that, okay, let it be like that. I'm going to learn from this situation. So it becomes optimistic rather. But it also will, the transformation would also involve you being lethargic, you being at a point where you will be like, whenever the transits come over this, whenever the dasha starts, you will feel that there's a sudden change that has come towards me. And now I'm depressive because of the change. Now I'm being lethargic, but I'm being forced constantly to take an action upon it. So definitely you will lead towards an action. You will lead towards learning the wisdom of life, but through a very, very depressive, uh, journey, through a very intense journey. It's an intense transformation you go through. It's a highly optimistic, although as a result, but through intensity. And again, you have to deal with transformations. You will have to deal with ups and downs, sudden ups and downs, this, that, whatnot. And you have to deal with financial ups and downs as well, ups and downs in your power. In the same thing that I told about, if a person at a very highest rank did some corruption, did some, they take some impulsive step, and then they had to lose their job and restart their career, restart with their work. Let me mention the remedies here, and I am also going to mention the remedies in the another video. Now the remedies, first of all, would be to do the mantra jap, the mantra jap of the deities of these nakshatras. For Ashwini, you can do the mantra jap of Ashwin Kumars. For Magha, Pitris. For Mula, Niriti, goddess goddess Niriti, the goddess of transformation, destruction. Then Ashlesha. For Ashlesha, you can do for the Nagas or Shiva. Then it's Jeshta. For Jeshta, you can do Om Indraya Namaha. You can preach to Indra, or you to Shiva. And lastly, it's Revati. For Revati, you can do to Pushan, the god, the solar god, or to Vishnu. So the mantra jap would be something that would actually balance the energy of this Gantanta. Then there are also fire rituals that are said to be done because it's an element of fire and water. And you put ghee, right? Ghee on the fire so as to ignite it. That's a yagna that you do. Do it on, like, you can do the Satya Narayan Puja, or you can do the nakshatra shuddhi or shanti puja. The nakshatra shanti or shuddhi puja has to be done at the time of birth of an individual. for that particular planet, or for the ascendant, or even especially when your moon is there. The Satyanarayan puja you can do on a full moon day, or full moon day, like for example, you have a Gandanta of Revati, then find a full moon day which falls on a Revati day, and then have the yagna on that day. Okay, so these two are the most important remedies that you can do, and the other one would be charity. Okay, so guys, this was my analysis, and I think a huge one on the Gandanta planets. I will see you in the next video for the ones who have this in the fire Gandanta side. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.